So I'd like to call the meeting to order for the evening council session of May 24th, 2022. Is there any late items, corporate officer? No late items. So I'd like a approval of the agenda. Councillor Barkwell, Councillor Van Alphen, all in favor? That carries. Adoption of the minutes for the May 9th public hearing and May 9th regular evening council meeting. Councillor Van Alphen, Councillor Barkwell, all in favor? That carries. No bylaws from public hearings. So we'll go straight to the mayor's report. Mayor Boot, if you can hear me, you're on. Mayor Boot? Oh, there you go. Okay, Mayor Boot, can you hear us? Okay, Mayor Boot, can you hear us? Okay. Okay, so we'll go to number 7, the CAO's report, and then we'll come back to Mayor Boot.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Good. You can hear us, Mayor Boot? We can hear you.
Hello?
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, we'll try that. Go ahead.
All right, I'll read my CAO report here. It was wonderful to see the official opening take place of the new Memorial Park playground. Already the park is thriving with children using all the equipment and enjoying themselves thoroughly. Proud of the work of staff and volunteers who dedicated time to see it come to fruition. Now that we're stepping into construction season, a few updates in line with Council's strategic priority regarding infrastructure investment. The water main project at Canyon View Road is progressing nicely with the new main now installed and being tested during the coming weeks. Paving is scheduled to take place the second week of June, weather permitting, of course, and subject to testing, after which time we will celebrate the work with an official completion ceremony on site, likely in July. Construction of the organics project at the landfill has now been awarded and construction will start in June on that new facility. In terms of line painting, you'll notice that the line painting has been started. It will continue for the next few weeks, focusing on crosswalks, stop bars, short lines, and also the intersections, of course. First, the long lines, such as the road center and fog lines, use a different piece of equipment, and those will be completed later on. Road and sidewalk repairs. Smaller road and sidewalk repairs are currently underway, such as those at the intersection of Jubilee and Kelly, and larger road rebuilds are being tendered over the next few weeks. The Giants Head Road project is currently out for tender with a closing date of May 31, with a goal of substantial completion by October of this year. And with that, I conclude my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the CEO? No? Okay. We'll try point 6 again, the mayor's report. Mayor Boot, can you hear us? We'll come back to it. I'm sure she'll be able to connect at some point, and we can come back to it. So we'll just move along the agenda, and once those technical difficulties are sorted out, we'll come back to the mayor's report. So there's a public comment opportunity. This is for anybody with comments on the pertaining to items on the agenda. That's not one of the development things. We'll get to that later. Anybody pre-registered for comments? No? Anybody in the gallery would like to make a comment? No? Okay, thank you. So we'll move straight on to the development reports, 9.1, and I'll turn this over to our planner, Joanne Peachy. Thanks.
Thank you. So the district received a downtown development permit application for 13218 Kelly Avenue with a request to vary the maximum gross floor area of the ground floor that can be occupied by dwelling units. The downtown development permit area has its own design guidelines that focus on form, function, and sustainability, all with the purpose of ensuring quality development within our downtown. This particular property is designated downtown commercial in the OCP and is zoned CB1 central business. And the CB1 zone allows for a range of uses, including mixed-use buildings that have limited residential space on the ground floor. So this proposal is to consider a mixed-use building with one commercial unit along Kelly Avenue and 4 townhouse-style units behind. This building requires a variance to allow for such a configuration by increasing the allowable floor area for residential use from 40% to 82%. As you can see in the renderings here, the building contains a 2-story commercial unit along Kelly Avenue with a 3-story townhouse configuration behind of a modern design with a variety of materials and color variation being used. On the site plan here, you can see the commercial area highlighted in red, which is the entire frontage of the building along Kelly Avenue. So there's no residential components that are facing the street. They are all located at the rear of the building. There is an existing lot line that isn't shown on this plan that will require the 2 properties to be consolidated. In terms of parking for the residential units, all of the parking is accessed from the lane to a interior private driveway, and each unit has its own garage to meet the parking requirements. There is a secured bicycle parking provided for each of the residential units within the garage, and there is also a bicycle parking space within the commercial unit as well. And the commercial unit does require 1 vehicle parking spot, and this would be met by providing cash in lieu of parking on site. Building variation is achieved by the stepping back of the 3rd floor and by providing a variety of materials and colors to articulate different spaces throughout the building. Along Kelly Avenue, the commercial space includes downlit lighting, a recessed entryway, display windows, and suitable signage, all contributing to the defining commercial use. And in terms of the floor plan, just for interest, the 1st floor has the commercial unit up front, and then the residential parking and flex rooms down below. And then moving up to the 2nd floor is the main living space for the townhomes and an additional office space for the commercial unit. And the 3rd floor is made up of bedrooms and bathrooms for the townhouse. And there are also rooftop decks featured both for the commercial and the residential spaces. So this building is in compliance with the CB1 zone regulations, with the exception of the maximum gross floor area for dwelling units on the ground floor. So the applicant is requesting the variance to allow for the area shown in yellow to be used for residential purposes. And this variance would enable for secured parking to be provided for each of the dwelling units and help support a unique housing option in the downtown. And because there is a commercial unit along the Kelly Avenue frontage, commercial still remains the focus of the building from the street. So this application was reviewed by the Advisory Planning Commission, and although the APC was generally supportive of mixed-use design, they did have design concerns specific for this development. And there was lots of discussion, questions, and suggestions. So of note, there were design suggestions from the APC to reconfigure the commercial space and the driveway access. And after discussion, they resolved to not support the proposal at this time and recommended the following design changes be made. So eliminating the vehicle driveway access from Kelly Avenue, extending the commercial building along Kelly Avenue, and adding landscaping on both sides of the property. So in response to the APC comments, the applicant did revise their plans. So you can see the previous design that went to the APC on the left and the revised design that's in front of council today. So under the revised design, there's no longer a vehicle driveway access from Kelly Avenue. It provides a narrower pedestrian-only connection from Kelly to the back of the property. It also includes an extension of the commercial building so that it extends further along Kelly Avenue to create a larger presence along the street. And a small planter box was added to the redesigned entryway as well. So in summary, this proposal is seen to meet the design guidelines for the downtown and contribute to the vibrancy of the downtown area. So for this reason, staff is recommending that council issue the development permit, including the proposed variance, with the condition of lot consolidation and payment of landscape security. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody else want to speak, or do we go straight to questions, or how do we usually do this? Straight to questions? Yeah, okay. So Councillor Barkwell.
I like the APC's recommendations, and I think that's a real improvement. But as I may be buried somewhere in the report is the answer to my question. But do those residential parking spots have plugins for electric vehicles?
I don't believe that all of them do. I'd have to check the plans.
I think that's, you know, at least to sort of plummet or something for EVs at this point would be a really worthwhile thing. I don't know, I'd hold up the whole project on that, but you know, let's keep that in mind again.
Director of Development Services, please.
Yeah, if I may respond to that through your worship to the chair to Councillor Barkwell. If council remembers, as part of our new building bylaw, we did put a provision in there for all Part 9 residential buildings that they are required to provide at least one EV parking stall per unit as part of the build process. So it's not captured as part of the development permit right now, but it will be captured as something that will be required per unit for this development moving forward.
Thank you. I remember that for the, you know, single family, and I wasn't sure if it for townhouses and stuff, but it would only make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. My memory is not correct. I thought it was Part 9, which this would be a Part 9 building, I think, but I'll have to get back to you on whether it would be included or not. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? No? Okay, Councillor Van Alphen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The downtown development permit number DP 21-019 for the construction of a mixed-use building to be constructed at 13218 Kelly Avenue, legally described as Lot 18, District Lot 3640, Soyuz Division EL District Plan 905, and Lot 19, District Lot 3640, Soyuz Division EL District Plan 905 be approved, subject to 1, lot consolidation, and 2, receipt of a performance security for landscaping in the amount of $12,500, with the following variance to zoning bylaw 2000-450 to increase the maximum gross floor area of the first story to be occupied by dwelling units as prescribed at section 11.5.7C from 40% to 82%.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Carlson. Any discussion? Councillor Van Elfen.
Just a comment, Mr. Chair, just want to also comment on what Councillor Barkwell said. I really like the revised addition to the plan. It looks much more appealing from the street, but looks really interesting building. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this and the other development that we had on Kelly, the APC made recommendations. I think it really shows the value of our APC, because I think in both cases, what they've recommended made a lot of sense, and it certainly looks a lot nicer. So it's an exciting project. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. We'll move on to, we'll do the development reports, and then we'll come back to you, Mayor Boot, for your mayor's report, if that works. So 9.2, April 2022 Development Service Report. Director of Development Services, please.
Okay, let's wait for my presentation to come on screen there. Okay, thank you. So I'm back before council to present our activities from the Development Services Department for the month of April this past year. For planning applications, the district received a total of 6 new planning applications, bringing the total number of planning applications for the year up to 23. For the same period in 2021, for reference, we had a total of 35 applications already for the year. However, the majority of these were for variances. We had a total of 14 development variance permits issued already by 2021. We've only received a total of 5 so far this year, which is, I think, a positive step. We're seeing less variances being submitted. I just want to put a little plug here as well that the district provided final subdivision approval for phase 2 of the Hunters Hill development, which provided an additional 29 single-family residential lots to the district's housing and lot inventory to help address the district's housing supply needs. So we see that so we'll probably be seeing some new homes being constructed in their next phase here in the near future as they are proceeding with construction work right now, and it should be completed fairly soon. I do also want to mention that, kind of stemming off of CEO Stat's report to council, we're also seeing a lot of construction activity throughout the district for private developments through our roadways and upgrading of roadways and infrastructure related to that development happening. A good example is the Oasis project with the improvements that are currently happening on Lakeshore Drive, Landry Crescent as well. There's some active work being completed down in Troll Creek with regards to the development over there. And so I do want to thank residents for their patience that this development is occurring. I know there are impacts on communities, but it is a product of allowing development to occur within our district. For building permits, we had a total of $11,630,000 construction value year to date, which is on pace with the 4-year average from the preceding years of which was on average of 11.4 million. So right on average from the previous 4 years. As well, for the number of building permits issued, we're also on pace with an average amount of 65. We've got a total of 60 so far this year. In April, we were also successful in recruiting a new senior building inspector to the district. I'm happy to announce that Kenny Gibbs will be joining the district on June 6th as our new senior building inspector, and will be, I feel, a fantastic addition to the development services team. We're excited for him to come. He's coming from the Columbia Shuswap Regional District, and prior to that, with the city of Chilliwack and also the district of Sicamous, and him and his young family are relocating to Summerland, and hopefully to establish some roots for a long time within our community. Sorry, next slide. Thanks. Thanks. For bylaw enforcement stats, we received a total of 48 complaint files in April, which 13 of which are still open for the year. For our year-to-date totals, we've received a total of 198 complaint files, with only 39 files remaining. Relating to the month of April, the total number of complaints that we received related to traffic as well as zoning bylaw, and a lesser amount compared to other months with our new good neighbor bylaw, perhaps indicating that some of the nuisance impacts we were experiencing in the winter are now stemming away, and we're having more zoning concerns being brought forward to our attention. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions on my report or any specific applications that were within the written report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Barkwell.
Just so that there's one question anyway. There's one on Rutherford that was scheduled for May 24th, council. Is that still going to happen? Well, it's not going to happen tonight. Is that a month down there? What's happening? What's the story there? Say 10609 Rutherford. Front, rear, side. Oh boy, it wants all three setbacks.
I believe that was the one that we had to actually an issue with our notification letter. It had a mistake in where the public could view the proposed variances. And so we had to resend it out to adjacent landowners, and that reason it's being brought forward to council on June 13th in order to make the LGA requirements for notification. So that was the reason.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Don't see any, so could we have a motion to receive, I believe, right? Yeah, Councillor Carlson, second. Councillor Trainer, all in favor? Any opposed? And that carries. Item 9.3, Dunn Street Orchard License of Occupation. Corporate Officer, please.
Thank you, Chair Holmes. So the orchards located on district property at 7636 and 7646 Dunn Street have been maintained by an orchardist since 2008. The orchardist mows the grass, irrigates, prunes, and thins the trees, applies the proper sprays, and harvests the fruit, and maintains and winterizes the irrigation lines in return for the crop yield. The current license of occupation expired on December 31st, 2021. Upon expiration of the current license of occupation, the district issued a public application process to determine interest and receive applications for the management of the orchards at the location. One eligible application was received. If the fruit trees are not being harvested and maintained by an orchardist, the district would be responsible for the maintenance of the trees, including bug control, and the district would likely have to remove the fruit trees, which cost could potentially be significant, and maintain the land. Therefore, staff is recommending that the district enter into a new license of occupation with Derek Lutz for the management of the orchards. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you. Question through to our corporate officer. If I look through this, I think the lease was $600 per year. What about water? who's paying for the water and where is it coming from? Is it a blue box to each separate title, or is it a secondary service because they're small acreages? Sorry for the question, but I know with the secondary services, if I'm not mistaken, these are the ones that we're trying to eliminate in the community on small acreages. So either it's being serviced by a blue box, and if that's the case, I think the orchardist should be responsible for the water.
So through the chair to Councillor Van Alphen, I don't know the actual answer to that question, but that is something that we could add to the license of occupation. A draft is here for council's review. We could put a clause in there that says that they are responsible for the water bills.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Van Alphen, do you want to put forward a motion to that effect, or just a second, Councillor Carlson?
Sorry, just a comment at point K in the covenants, the licensee shall pay all required utility costs, including water, sewer, power, etc. So one might assume that that includes irrigation.
Councillor Van Alphen?
Thank you for that, Councillor Carlson. My bigger concern is it serviced from blue boxes, or is it being serviced by a secondary water service on a small acreage? And those are the ones that we've been working on over the years to have eliminated. So if that's the case, are we ever going to eliminate these ones, or like we have been with other small properties?
Well, do we want to eliminate her, or we just want them matered? I don't, right? It's
Through the chair, there is no blue box at that property.
okay. Councillor Barkwell?
What's the size of those lots again? Because we're just in that program, they could be on the list to be, to have a blue box soon. We started with the smaller properties, right? The half-acre ones, going to the 1 acres, and then the 1.5 acres over a period of years here. And they might be sitting there with no blue box now, but it might be on the schedule for the future, which is a big cost that nobody was thinking about.
So we need to know if they have a second service or not. That's unmetered.
You couldn't afford to rent it from the house water.
No. Director of Development Services?
I think Kendra's trying to find this, but I got it up, my GIS up. It's, the parcel size is 0.98 acres for each of the parcels. 0.98.
A blue box is imminent then. Unless because they're district owned, they're not on the list.
Councillor Carlson?
Whatever happens, he's going to have to start farming it right away because it's a bit late now. So I would suggest a motion to make this agreement go forward for 2022 and figure out the blue box situation, perhaps with Derek or not. I don't know. I guess the district has to figure that part of it out. So I would like to move that staff be directed to prepare a license of occupation agreement between the District of Summerland and Mr. Derek Lutz, orchardist, to manage and harvest the tree fruits in the district-owned properties located at 7636 and 7646 Dunn Street.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Trainer? Okay, any further discussion? Councillor
Just
Carlson?
a comment that Derek's a good farmer and he runs Granny's Fruit Stand, and that means that most of this product will be kept locally, and it's nice to see someone willing to step up so that we can try to keep this maintained, at least in the short term.
Okay, anyone else? I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? None opposed? That carries. So now we'll move back up to item 6, the mayor's report. Mayor Boot, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Many of Summerland's annual events returned this year, and with this being a traditional weekend to get seedlings and bedding plants into the ground, it may have been busier than usual. Whether you stayed in town or visited family or friends outside of the Okanagan, my hopes are that you had an enjoyable and safe Victoria Day long weekend. In my role as a board governor with the Real Estate Foundation of BC, I spent much of last week attending a conference with other funders in BC and across Canada, including the Okanagan Basin Water Board. There is much good work going on in the province that is focused on reinvigorating or protecting ecosystems for the betterment of all species, plants, and animals. Many of these projects are Indigenous-led, and many of them are related to water, whether it be watershed or source water protection, restoration of wetlands, or renewing fish habitat. It's easy to look at Okanagan Lake and we think we have an endless supply of water. In fact, the opposite is true, especially in this time of unpredictable and extreme weather events brought on by climate change. Last Friday, I and many councillors attended the reopening of the playground at Memorial Park. I use the word reopening loosely as the colorful and innovative structure now in place is unlike anything Summerland youngsters have enjoyed previously. On behalf of Council, thank you to the Kinsman Club, Kinsman Foundation, and the Summerland and District Credit Union for their financial contributions to the project. Also, sincere appreciation to the Rotary Club, CRL Group, Summerland Fire Department, the more than 40 volunteers who helped spread the mountains of wood fiber on Saturday, May 14th, and district staff for their diligence in completing this destination playground on time and on budget. And finally, a warm thank you to the children who have joined us for the celebration and ribbon cutting. The event was so enriched by your being there and seeing your delight. After the playground event Friday, CAO Stat assisted me in creating a short video for the 2022 Make Water Work campaign, an Okanagan Basin Water Board initiative. I encourage all Summerland residents to take the pledge to make water work this year by planting appropriately for our climate or not wasting water on driveways or sidewalks, etc. Please take the pledge at makewaterwork.ca. And thank you, Councillor Traynor. You have already made your pledge. Lastly, thank you again. Thank you to Councillor Holmes for stepping in for me at the Summerland Arts and Culture Board meeting last Tuesday and for chairing the council meetings today while we were traveling home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mayor Boot. We'll move along to Section 10, Bylaws for Adoption. 10.1, the zoning amendment bylaw for 15835 Logie Road and 15836 Industrial Avenue. This is for adoption. Anybody like to bring it forward? Councillor Carlson, second by Councillor Van Elfen. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That carries. We don't have any business arising, do we? No. Any notices of motion? No notices of motion. Information items. Anybody like to pull anything from any of the correspondence? Don't see any. We'll be talking about potential UBCM provincial appointments at a later date. 13.2 commission meeting minutes. Anything there? Don't see any. So we'll move along to councillor reports. Who would like to go first? Councillor Carlson.
Just a couple of things. There was an ORL meeting recently, last week. All the libraries are back to being brimming with people again, and it's been a long, hard thing for libraries to have to continue to provide all the services they always do without the face-to-face interaction that they're so used to. So the librarians and all of the folks working in the libraries are excited to be able to do things as almost normal. The CEO of the library is retiring. He'll be off shortly. There will be a recruitment process underway very soon for a new regional library director. And I've been to the playground probably 7 times since it opened. So it's really busy, and there's always different people there that have obviously found it and are loving it just as much as we are. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too attended the opening of the new and improved park, Children's Park at Memorial, and it was wonderful. It's beautiful. I love the colors. I love where it's sitting. I think it's a huge addition to our community. Secondly, I'd like to thank our CAO, and if he could please pass on my sincere thank you to Mr. Mitchell up at Public Works. On Saturday afternoon, I was coming home from the Summerland Rental Center, and to my great surprise was lights at Beavis Place at the crosswalk. Solar powered, someone pushed the button, the lights lit up, and I went, wow. Thank you, Mr. CAO, for instructing staff to get that done, and it is a great addition for that area, especially for the kids crossing in the mornings going to school. Anyways, thank you, and thank you to your staff.
Councillor Barkwell. Nothing. Councillor Trainer.
We also attended the playground opening on Friday. It was lots of fun. I apologize to the people that live in the apartments because my son climbed in the front seat of my van and honked the horn very loudly for a couple minutes. It was slightly embarrassing, but no, it was a really good event. There was lots of kids, and I talked to lots of people on the weekend who had said that they heard that a lot of kids from Penticton had come up to check out the playground. So that's pretty cool. On Saturday, we went to the car show, which I thought was really well organized. I hadn't seen that many people in Summerland for a long time, so that was really neat. It was good to see just a bunch of people downtown, filling the area up, and I think people had a really good time. And then, finally, we have a bear down in Trout Creek that is getting into all of the garbage, and so I'm just reminding all of my neighbors and all of the other people in Summerland to not put their garbage out until 7 in the morning. I think is it 5 or 7? Not before 5 a.m. Okay, because we want to keep the bears back in the hills and not eating our garbage. Thank you.
Thank you. And for myself, I have to agree, the town was absolutely buzzing on Saturday. There was the new playground, the car show, the music in the park all going on at the same time. It was quite amazing. And then the Giant's Head Grind throw on top of that. So the lakeshore was buzzing as well. It was great. We just need the weather to turn now, and everything will be perfect. And not only do we have speed lights at Beavis, there's also new speed lights on Peach Orchard, right by the campground, which is excellent as well, because people really barrel up and down that road. So appreciate that. And not to be outdone by Trout Creek, there's also a bear in Lower Town roaming around. So they're definitely out, and we need to be really vigilant, I think. That's it for today, I think. Is there any members of the public like to make a comment? None? Okay. So I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Van Elfen, Mayor Boot, thank you. And all in favor? And that's it. Thank you very much.